We are the Athens Poetry Group, and we meet on alternate Tuesdays in the little conference room. If we get many more people, we'll meet in the big conference room at 10 o'clock until noon, and anyone who wants to join us is welcome to do so. We're going to do two different things here. We're going to read, people are going to read samples of their poetry, and then at the end of each person's reading, he or she will read a poem by Joy Linskold, who was a longtime member, perhaps even one of the founding, were you founding members of the group? Or you came in a little after? Okay. So she was with the group for years and years, and she died just recently, and so she couldn't join us to read her own poems. So each of us will read one of her poems at the end of our own selections. Also, two other housekeeping things. There are cookies and munchies and interesting things over there. Help yourselves. We'll have a break part of the time. And we'll have a break in the middle of all this. And if any of you brought a poem or two that you would like to read after the rest of us people have shown off up here, then we will invite you to come read one or more of your own poems. So, move it quick.
Well, when you turn this way, I can hear what you're saying, because you're talking in the
Okay, so when
you look that way, I don't know what you're saying.
okay, so when I'm going to say rude things about you, I'll look that way. Okay.
Sisters can talk to each other like that.
And also, as you can see, we're having the poems projected on the screen up here because sometimes it's hard to really understand a poem if you just hear it and can't actually see it. Well, if you want to get us a larger screen, the library will be happy to have you. So I ended up as the first name on this agenda, so I'm going to start out. This first poem is called Willow Wallow. I'm not quite sure why. I thought I changed the title of it, but apparently I didn't. Far in the heart of the festal moose, where the verdocks breed and the jifus play, came in a cart a weary youth to the village wall at the close of day. The guards did sleep, and the dogs did too, and the hoodat crows were far afield, so none remarked his howdy-do, or met the youth with sword and shield. The gate was open, the drawbridge down. As shadows grew, as shadows will, round homes and shops of the dismal town, the lad sought to eat and drink his fill. Later, replete with meat and ale, in a tavern warm and filled with folk, he heard, "Speak up, lad, tell your tale. How came you here?" The youth then spoke. "I hail from misfortune's native land, and mine is a troubled, woeful plight. The Weald is ruled by iron command, it's held in thrall by the Gorgon night." The listeners shrank at the very name. "He's a blasted curse's devil's spawn, born of an evil snake-haired dame, and sired by a stone-blind witless pawn. When my parents died, ground down to dust, and my sister took her own young life, lest the night take her to slake his lust, I'd nothing left, nor child, nor wife. One night, as Vidres wailed and wept, while townfolk's heavy doors were barred, it was seal fate dark, so no one slept, but no one slept. I slipped away and traveled hard. I slept amid the Vandeloos and fought shughees for what I ate, and slept in fields in wind and rain. And then I came up to your gate. Folks wept to hear his woeful plight, of him bereft of kith and kin, at the weird warped hand of the Gorgon night. They cried, "Stay here, we'll take you in." Then 'twas the lad's own turn to weep with joy at their warmth and open hearts. "I'm skilled in crafts, I'll earn my keep. This is where my new life starts." This one is called Watch for Me, I hope. I can't see what's up there. Play me no burges, start again. Play me no dirges, don't cry any tears. Instead note the happiness, all the glad years we spent in the sun being loony and daft. The way that we hooted, the way that we laughed. Think of the meals, the wine that we shared, how strongly we tried, how fiercely we cared. I go where I'm going, there's no turning back, the clock on the wall, no switching of track. So watch for me, watch for me. Watch in the dawn among bright blooming crocuses sparkling the lawn, in winter's harsh breath, in the green summer breeze, in the hill drifting mist like the breathing of trees. I'll be in the songs of birds as they sing, in the twist of the vines, in the way that they cling to fences and chimneys and trees and to walls. Find me in rain or the snow as it falls. Watch in the night when the moon's on the rain for the cry of a wolf or the call of a crane. But watch for me most when my life's poem ends in the hearts and the minds and the smiles of my friends. And this is a short one. Eventide. When evening goes lavender on distant hills and birds' late feeding frenzy stills, you come to me gently as an errant breeze rustles the grasses before it leaves to investigate the petals of tuberose that in the waning twilight glows. This is a poem by Joy Lindsgold called Silence. In the midst of noise, silence is something to value, it, like the incoming tide, covering all. In a lonely bed at midnight, the sounds of a neighbor's party or milk-run trains is noise, but somehow pleasing. Morning, like light, is silent until the wren wakens. Now, the next one on the list here is Thomas Shostak.
I'm Shostak, and I have a couple of poems. The first one is really about me and my relationship with my wife, Susan. It's called Love's Lost and Found. I loved once. Oh, no, really twice. Oh, maybe more, I don't know for sure, but yes, twice. The first was one of passion, presence, hardly perfect, but pleasure, ah yes. I knew the touch, the pulse, the thighs, the sighs of love that only poets know. The ones who give their lives to verse, letting go of sanity and finding ecstasy in being one. Then, the love I knew faded. Not immediate for sure, but it passed just the same, taking its course in due time as the merely mundane pushed aside the bountiful bliss. Words replaced touch, actions overcame the passions, as a practical pair we became. Love was lost, at least the one we thought we knew, and without the sense to search our souls to find its rightful place, we settled. Simple rationalization, some called it. It's for the kids that parting can't exist. We'll stay together out of love for them, not for us, but simply, well, simply us was our refrain. How many years went by, I do not know. Times of struggle, times of fear, times of wanting to be free. I pushed, she shoved, I reached, she grabbed. There was nothing to know but tension, anger, and grief. Until after a while we noticed. Something changed. We came to see each other for who we were, and to see ourselves for what we were not. We let go, let be. allowing ourselves to become, well, no one really. No one in particular, that is, just who we were. Two people, each practicing to be no one special. And then we found it. As if it were always there right between us. No, not the love we thought we had and lost, but something new, different. The love that could not be until we let go of the one that was gone, the one we never really had at all. The second is a poem called The Chair, and it takes something that's a little fun and makes a little social commentary on it. The Chair. Hello. The gentleman looked mystified by what he heard, unclear at whatever may have produced the word. Yes, you, sir. Look over here. I am a chair. With that, the man that could not help but stare. Ah, now you see. Come, please sit on me. Silence. But the man could not just let it be. A talking chair? No way, this must be a trick. Otherwise, God help me, he smirked, I must be sick. He wondered and pondered, scratched his head, unable to fathom all that had just been said. Then he decided that he would simply play along. After all, he thought, what could go wrong? Anyway, he quipped, if I do, you will get hurt. Well, the response was swift, blunt, and curt. You must understand, sir, I am already broken. The speech was articulate, the words clearly spoken. That's why I'm a chair. Anyway, what do you care if I am stressed or in pain? Besides, is it not only fair that what's been broken have something to say? Let's face it, you would not have it any other way. Resigned yet intrigued, the man entitled to sit shook his head and looked around for just a bit, while the chair took its expected, receptive pose. 'Tis a little foolish, the man surmised, but here goes. Okay, I'll sit, but only briefly, for then I must go, he said, while thinking, somehow this cannot be so. But it is, sir, and you can stay a while. Why leave me? I will provide you with great comfort, believe me. Things broken and hurt are meant to be used, are they not? By those of you who stand accused of hubris and wealth, privilege and pride, are we not here for you? Set your doubts aside. The man smiled, knowing where he stood. Aware of his position, he sat, and it was good. My last poem is called Nowhere, and it's a little play on the word nowhere. If you look at the word enough, you see now here. Where are you going? He asked. Nowhere, she said. Can I go with you? Sure, come along. They were on a quest to know where and how one can truly see. How will we know we are there, he asked. Where, she responded. Wherever, he said. She smiled. Wanting an answer you'll never see, she said. Being the question, you will. And so they left. There was no map. They just walked. Nothing was said, and much was learned. All paths are the same for those who seek. Every direction holds the truth. In simply letting go, emptying, everyone finds the way. After being on the journey for a while, she stopped and said, so we are now here. Silence. He looked around. But this is nowhere, he said. And then he paused, looked at his grandmother and smiled. They each knew. I think you see now, she said, and hear. and nowhere. After a long pause, they both laughed together. The joy was palpable, the boy touched. And as all of our group does, we fondly remember her, and her poems touched me. This one is called All Wonderments Have Long Tails. A dragonfly eye can have over 8,000 compound eyes. Imagine one of these insect marvels flat on a table. What each eye can see is something the others cannot. But all together, they compose a compound picture. Now, another leap. From really small to really big. Imagine the insect's eye is half of the sun, laying there like a brilliant cabochon. Each part of the sun throws off plasma in all directions all the time. Proteins, small masses of energy, are present and are so small that we humans cannot measure their mass or trajectory. But let's say that one, on a late summer afternoon, while I'm sitting talking to friends, having a before-supper drink, crashes into an ice cube in my gin and tonic, in which I've squeezed a lime slice. When the proton slams into the ice cube, it's traveling at the speed of light. In fact, it's been traveling toward my glass for 8 minutes. Now, when I think about that, I start to wonder about things like friction. Just like I wondered about the dragonfly's eye, and how the insect kept the eye moistened against the friction of the eyes would encounter in flight. When the proton fell into the next ice cube, its speed was much less. The third cube almost stopped it. But the fall continued, and the proton entered into a pore on the lime line, then slipped into an unbroken sack of lime juice. There it rested, still warm, still full of energy, but encased in icy juice and gin. As I'm putting the kitchen back into order, I dump my drink remains into the compost pot. Later, this is carried out behind the garage and thrown into the compost pile. By midnight, the deer have come to browse. The piece of lime rind is chewed and swallowed. The mighty proton is now in the gut of a deer. Her heat stirs the proton, and it starts moving and exploring her body, settling minutes later in her brain, where there seems to be more activity for the proton to experience. Within a month or so of settling in, the proton had the deer watching television in one of the neighborhood houses, learning how to laugh, learning, or rather teaching the people who came to see her how to ask questions she could answer. Within 5 months, 25 states had banned deer hunting, and it was being said that in 5 years they would have a representative in Congress. Pro-evolutionists hurrayed this advance in deer intelligence. Anti-evolutionists claimed it was a farce. Several church groups demanded the deer be fully clothed.
Got selected on a really cold day when I was afraid I would forget how beautiful summer was. Okay, sorry. And I want to begin with a quote by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. I say to the moment, stay now, you are so beautiful. So my poem is called Stay Now. The night air pulses with amorous crickets en masse, loudly sounding their collective intent. So happy to be alive, so joyfully fornicating. The cats race through the dark house hallways, half crazed with moonlit play. Beyond the street, very early morning freeway, hum energetically advances, fades, then again rallies. Forth, one of the last sweet days of August, so ripe with growth and greenness. Squash and cucumber vines exuberantly advancing in all directions, dispensing with any notion of borders. The prim stand of scalloped pink and white zinnias, backed by the bright orange feathery cosmos and the willowy, elegant, wild mauve geraniums against the fence, all call the small honeybees, as well as the plump, burly yellow jackets. The dainty hummingbird so discriminating, hovering, white fluttering moths flitting, and even the prize, most stately regent, the lovely monarch, comes to visit. A screen door slams, the day begins, a perfect moment to be in love, nay, to be love itself, in full, outrageous, deliriously beautiful bloom.
Very good.
The next is Those Anglo-Irish Blennerhassetts, inspired by a trip there this fall. I try to picture it, a tall Margaret walking off the island in the dry season when the water was low, crossing over the dry riverbed to get to the Virginia banks, just to eat breakfast with friends. I try to picture her knowing at 11, Harmon was the one, her only ever love, the educated man of law she'd leave her home for, crossing the ocean with, travel to the frontier, build the finest, biggest home with, businesses, and create a family with. What matter, he, her uncle, she, his niece. I try to picture their life in Eden, the sound of his violin wafting through the air, his leather-bound volumes, his telescope, she speaking French and Italian, making red currant jam in the kitchen, riding her horse in her white plumed hat, entertaining with music, poetry, and Shakespeare. I try to picture his arrival then, the charismatic charmer, Mr. Aaron Burr, a man so indecently handsome, he knew the language of a woman's flirting fan, sending the ladies into some state of rapture while raising funds for his Western expedition that President Jefferson called treason. I try to picture the romance and excitement of men thrilled with plans of more adventure, their eyes on Western discovery, wealth, then with news of impending militia arrest, escaping downriver on rafts, leaving Margaret to fend off the troops, taking over her home, eating her jam. I try to picture how this memory sustained them through Harmon's imprisonment, the court battle ending in acquittal, the failed Mississippi cotton plantation, the deaths of their baby girls named Margaret, their move to Canada and return to England, their deaths in poverty so far from the Eden they knew. I try to picture them in their last days by the sea in Guernsey, as islands always improve their health, remembering their Ohio Valley mansion, taking their tea as they looked out over sun-glistened water. These survivors, somehow, their love still intact, and enough. Next one is my dear cousin Peggy Peyton. I loved you long before you stood at the doorway of your English maisonette near Nottingham, in open-armed gusto proclaiming, "Welcome to civilization," to us Yanks just arrived from a trip to Ireland. I loved you for being the quintessential conservative, adoring Maggie Thatcher, the Queen Mom, so loyal. "I'll have you know the people of India invited us to come," you insisted. "But surely not to take over the whole country," I argued. I loved you for whispering to me on my wedding day, "You don't have to go through with this. I'll help you get away." Even though I was 4 months gone, with a mother who demanded, "You have to give this baby a father, Lord." Years later, I loved you for taking me to the sea at Skegness, a place of happy memories for you growing up, now delighted to indulge me with boardwalk fortune tellers, not once but twice to be told I'd lived to 97 before I'd see heaven. I loved you for spoiling me with hot cream tea brought to my bedside. Oh, those cozy flannel sheets and thick down comforter. You drew me a lovely bath, a little plastic pillow to rest my royal head, a silver tray across the tub, then a heated towel wrap before I was fed. Oh, I loved you for deciding in your own life one marriage to an alcoholic was enough. Thank you very much. So when I heard the whispered tale that married Uncle James came to visit and later bragged, "She rode me like a tiger." Oh, for shame, them being cousins. I secretly was so proud of you, Tiger Girl. I loved you for being on your own terms, making your way, being the beloved and feared office manager for barristers, having fun as the president of the local Dickens Society, altogether a well-met woman, ever curious who never knew a stranger. I love that we were related, Peggy Payton, you bon vivant, well-traveled citizen of the world, who once invited me to holiday in Italy. That offer touched me, though I had to say no against my will. Not to worry, love. I do so much in memory. Enjoy your company still. Right. The joy poem. I'm not sure I have a copy of it.
Turn around.
Yeah, okay.
Is it in the book? I have the book.
It depends on whose book it is.
Yeah. Is it this past?
Yeah.
No, mine.
I was the one who wrote everybody, please remember your poems. No, I don't see it on page 14, sorry. But it is in here, and, oh, this is a different one.
Is that this year's? Is that this year's?
Page 12.
Yeah, it's in this. Thank you, sorry. And by the way, for those of you who didn't know Joy, all of this artwork is hers. She was a multi-talented woman who not only was an artist well, a lot of these are collages, but she did paintings as well, and jewelry and pottery as well. So adornment reflects of here turquoise and the deepest azure blue flickered along the feathers of the woman's hat. She smiled at her friend, showing ivory white teeth between her lovely red lips. The king wears his cape of ermine fur. You, my friend, have in your pocket a rabbit's foot for luck. We adorn ourselves with parts and pieces of other species. We have decided in our ancient wisdom that the horn of beasts give us vigor and sperm. We kill for oil in whales' heads. We kill for hummingbird tongues. Empathy free for the most part, we are vain. Behind us we leave corpses of birds and foxes to rot on the ground. When there is only us, what will we eat and where?
My first poem is about old age. It's written in the voice of an elderly gentleman who may or may not be me. And it was prompted by a thought that comes to us from William Butler Yeats. And I'll give you just 2 lines of a wonderful poem he's written. An aged man is but a paltry thing, a tattered coat upon a stick, unless soul clap its hands and sing, and louder sing for every tatter in its mortal dress. The ancient Greeks had a god of old age called Garas. He's not very well known for some reason. He was an ugly, shriveled thing. I don't know if the image shows. And the Greeks didn't like old age very much, partly because most of them didn't get there. Only about 8% of people in ancient Greece lived beyond the age of 60. Garas's, in the Roman lexicon, was senectus, gives us the word senility. And Garas gives us the word gerontology. Anyway, all those thoughts mixed up, and my own thoughts about aging. So here I go, old age. Being old is a ridiculous state, but rarely do I bemoan my fate. Though I have long outlived my wife, I enjoy a quite contented life. Friends stop me from becoming too sad, and living alone is not really so bad. Nor have I become a cross curmudgeon, using crusty ill temper as a bludgeon. Against life's last chapter many rage, loathing Geras's Greek god of old age. But as stiff white hairs grow out of my ears, his elegiac image incites few fears. Getting old does bring exasperation, as mind and body begin degeneration. Trading short-term memory for long recall, one must always be alert to avoid a fall. Having no desire or to plan to die, I refuse to stare into Geras's eye. Why waste life with thoughts of death? I'm relishing living until my last breath. Well, those of you under the age of 16 may want to leave because this next poem is somewhat erotic. Going from old age, I hearken back to first love. And the prompt that I took for my poem comes from John Keats, a famous poem, The Beautiful Woman Without Mercy, La Belle Dame Sans Merci. A line from that poem: she looked at me as she did love and made sweet moan. I think that's one of the most erotic lines in all of poetry. It's my inspiration. First love. First love. She was my first enduring love. We fit like fingers in a glove. So with me now is that lost time. Green bliss long lingers, still sublime. We saw each other newly nude, hot faces flushed, red rosy hued, such unabashed naivete spurred on by curiosity. Our jejune rapture knew no shame. We didn't blush to brashly claim. That passion in our breathless words resembled lovely songs by birds. We were so young and all was fresh. We intertwined our eager flesh. Then afterwards we lay all spent, convinced that we did sex invent. This is when life gets scary, when bad things happen and there are bad things out in the world that threaten us. And I call it when the wolves creep near. When life darkens and dread appears, I struggle sometimes to calm my fears. Only the bonfire of love chases my night. I savor the succor of its warmth and light. It's hard keeping the wolves at bay. Listen to them howl and bray. Terror and woe seem always so near. The fire of love can assuage my fear. There is pain and suffering all about. This flame needs fuel or it will go out. Yes, the fire of love cauterizes my heart, but this keeps me and the wolves apart. One to enjoy now. All of us loved having Joy in our poetry group, and we miss her a lot. And she remains in our hearts as a joy forever. This one's called A Road That Lost Its Way. Once well-traveled, now remote from wheel or foot, the lonely road leads to lost places we never understood. Winter's winds, summer's heat, snow, rain, all the same on this trail to where only questions live. If you step on the road in town, you'll not believe how lost you can become. If you find its end someplace, it will not be more than a rut in space. Take it if you must, many do, never to be found again, whole or true.
Okay. Hi. Thank you all for coming. This is quite a thrill to see so many faces, some known, some not known. Thank you. This is in keeping with the season, getting ready to celebrate Christmas. Why? Gifts, trees, cards, a star, lights, songs, food, feast, candy, cookies, garland, wreaths, stockings, specialties, ornaments, celebrations. What can you add? Why do we have these? Is there any meaning, tradition, or a purpose? Why? Several have special origins. Several have special origins and significance. According to legend, the family hid under a tree. Songs of praise, thanksgiving, and adoration. A star guided the wise men to the Holy Child. Cards pointed to an announcement for all. Lights represent the light of the world. Gifts point to the gift given to all the earth. And this is the second half of that poem, called Christmas. The greatest gift of all was sent by God to inattentive people who were not looking. They were no longer concerned about life. They did as they pleased, no consequences, no fear, for God did not see, or so they thought. The truth was, there was a need they could not meet. Only a holy God could fill exactly what must be done. God sent God's one and only begotten Son, Jesus, Messiah. He left all the glory of heaven to dwell with those who would beat and mock him, reject him. Love, sent to earth on the wings of a snow-white dove. Love, moved God to become human. Love, born in a manger made for animals. Love, who one day hung on a tree. Love, a free gift to all who will receive. Pure, holy, true love. I'm going to say something about Joy now because she was a great encourager to me. And one time she presented me with a challenge because a lot of my poems were rather lengthy. And so I did learn to write smaller ones, but words stuck with me. And so I wrote a poem called 40 Words. Words, they are all around us, every day, every hour. Words travel in order to be heard. They're on a tour. How far will they go? Do they move like a doe? Not all words we hear are fun. Fortunately, some act like the sun. Other words cause anguish. Different ones are outlandish. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Many of us heard this when we were children. Is it true? Hear this plea. If you were called names, it went deep down. Do you agree? Pain and hurt may have remained for years. You tried to flee. Words, they are powerful. Do any words go unsung? It's said, there's the power of life and death in the tongue. Words can build up or tear down. Words, use them to make a crown. 40 words. In 40 words, a very powerful message was given. If you had 40 words to give a message, would you feel driven? What 40 words would you select? Grandiose? Hard to pronounce? What message would you give? One to pounce, trounce, or announce? Once, a great teacher was asked a question. To trick him was the goal. He responded with 40 words and gave a great lesson, one for all their soul. The question, which is the greatest of commandments? The questioner did not expect the answer to cause his advancement. The answer, 40 words. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Those were the 40 words spoken by Jesus in the book of Matthew, chapter 22, verses 37 through 39. And the last poem that I am sharing is titled Broken Pieces. And I don't know if any of you have ever heard of a group called Mercy Me, but the composer of that particular song spoke about a true experience that he had, having been abused as a child. And after hearing that, this is something that's been on my heart. I actually have coordinated seminars on sexual abuse here in this county a number of years ago. So it's something that is near and dear to my heart, wanting to reach out and to assist people. So Broken Pieces was a result of all of that. Life can often be filled with many hurts and pains. Innocence is lost, and the child carries huge chains. Bondage, shame, disgrace, disgust, brokenness, guilt. The result of the experience often is a life that will wilt. Vibrant children now crawl inside themselves, trying to bury the images. Sadly, oftentimes, what is produced is burning and scarring carcinogens. A young child was not designed to carry the weight of others' misdeeds. For an adult's moment of pleasure, the recipient for a lifetime bleeds. Words never spoken, sworn to secrecy. A special relationship. No, you feel isolated. You think you are undesirable, unworthy, damaged goods, unlovable. All of this truly is a big fat lie that caused you inwardly to die. You were not to blame. Refuse the shame. There's one who can make it go away. Into outer darkness it must go and stay. Coping, hoping. The thoughts should not be a reproach, may not cause more self-reproach. Stamp them out as you would rid yourself of an ugly, disgusting cockroach. Allow the lover of your soul to apply the balm of Gilead, the oil of grace. Be cleansed from others' wrongdoing. Be purified, the weight no more to face. Take the years and years of tears and give everything. Take all your broken pieces to the only one who can make them into a mosaic, a beautiful masterpiece. She was a great encourager to me. I miss her very, very much. Sweet morning air, the warmth of a young fox breath, bright yellow magnolia pollen on bees' legs, earthworms and voles. I was wondering if that should be moles. No, voles, okay. Thank you. Earthworms and voles, tunneling beneath the spring blooming lilacs, leaves unfurling into the sun's heat, the wood phobie's tender call to his mate, the rabbit nibbling at the wild asparagus stems, the long-legged spider creating her web in the sourwood tree, pulling from her body the finest of threads, and as the day ends, a lunamorph hatches in the leaf litter, spreading pale green wings to the rising moon. It is a time and life aloof from the constant coaxing of human wants. I watch, feeling blessed to have this peace where the world seems full of ancient music. Thank you.
How about that? Okay. I chose a poem today because I'm definitely a river rat, and I like to write about rivers, and so I'm going to do that today. Night River. Past midnight, our brave boat hugs the shore of the Ohio. We are drawn to just one magic sweep, unable to fathom dark and deep. Our lone presence, a Dixie cup lamp, stands at the stern and up at the bow, a pocket-sized torch of red and green. We know the path of the barges well, hushed giants that press through the night, but we belong to Dark River more than ever we could in the light. We glide under the arching bridge of the Muskingum, feeling clean chill as we pass the docks, alabaster thrones the sleeping yachts, imbued with the right of peaceful rest. The no-wake signs are new and fresh. We tiptoe by in our 14-foot, a 40-year fiberglass vintage. With our rusty old steel red gas cans, we can run all day till nightfall. Rich folks sit on their decks, that's all. Out and away from the tribe of yachts, festive camps, colored lights that shoot out long, reflecting the languid current song. Along the edges, no one's awake, only the chugging our motor makes. A half moon and a handful of stars emerge bright from a shadow of mist. We give the boat gas and open up to fracture the liquid mirror flares and say goodnight to a tinsel dance. The river folds us into its spell and inky silence, indolence, mindness of mission. Did we pass the dock sign by again? Is that the fisherman's little lamp? We squint and see his spider-thin line arching between the water and sky. Shrinking below to save his catch, we stretch out our arms to grasp the cleats and tether the prized, gallant blue boat that dreamed its way back home. Thank you. This poem was conceived at the Nelsonville Library. Some of you guys have been there at that time. Okay. Lines. Where did they go? I looked for the blackbirds beyond the wide windows. Last week they made shadows on the library wall. Dozens of blackbirds wrapped their toes on thin black wires while I wrote lines of airy poetry. Where did they go? I wanted to see the birds, their black silhouettes perched on the lines, a black drop of blue, brilliant, bright. I waited for the leader to rally a call. Bring the birds back, command them to soar. One body, a cape, fine spun, sheen on black feathers, catching the light of the sun. Today I see only empty sky, no blackbird shadows dancing on the side of the sand and blue entranceway. My daydreams are full of wings, birds in skies, wires up high. Where is my blackbird muse? I can't write a single poetic line. I wanted to connect with joy this day, so what I chose to write a poem of mine about childhood and then to read a poem about childhood from Joy. Okay. A red letter day. A rainy day in the morning, you woke up ready, slipped on your swimsuit, pushed up your dragon umbrella. I borrowed your mom's, the one with the alligator handle. The two of us were primed for a red letter day. We were pummeled, dagger-sharp drops hit us the minute we stepped off the porch. Torrents of water rushed through the gutters. The storm drains were already blocked. We zigzagged between the flooding crosswalks. You giggled when the water came up to your knees. When the rain stopped, I boosted you up to the trees, popped your umbrella with a powerful push into the low branches. The waterlogged leaves made whooshing sounds. You were calling out, "Do it again, Grandma, do it again." With sticks we created our own little rivers. Rainwater currents were running fast. Our quickly made leaf dams couldn't last. At the playground we dashed across the painted map of the whole world. You tagged the best puddles and we splashed ankle deep over the states of the USA. We leaped between islands in the blue painted ocean when the drizzle down rain started again. I pushed you on the swing and watched you pump higher, stretching your toes past the trees and farther. You arched your head back, closing your eyes, waiting for the day when you'll touch the sky. Okay, so that I'm very honored to be able to read this poem from Joy. So, Days of childhood rummaging. The child was free to roam or play, as the adults called it, anywhere on the property, looking for antlions in their shallow pits in the sand under the porches, or scraping up ancient shards of broken pottery where rainwater fell from the eaves of the house, or making up stories for paper dolls cut from the patterned sales books, dancing to unwritten music in front of the pure glass mirror in the parlor, escaping imaginary bandits by climbing up the mulberry tree in the chicken yard. The large purple-brown berries full of stain for anything they touched. The stains now only visible in dreams, the rest just mysteries in fractured time.
Get it. Yes, here we go. Yes, we are. Okay. Our dreams, hopes, and glass ceilings were crushed. All the poles reinforced our ivory-towered hubris and seclusion. The unwashed and poorly educated masses could not overwhelm our liberal certitude. The politician, I call the onanistic twat, had masturbated successfully, technologically, to the office of the presidency of our nation. Oh, what to do, what we immediately cried. Certainly, the world, in his hands, would end in a Faustian or an Elosian end. Fire, ice, bang, or whimper. Where's our Deus Machina when you need it? I guess that our collective atheism removed that literary device from our poetical arsenal. Well, what shall we do? Well, what shall we do? A deity-filled life.
Hold up.
Oh.
There we go.
No,
There we go.
that's not, it was bigger beginning. I can't,
I know, I'm sorry, I apologize. It's in a different format that I couldn't convert
oh,
to
I
larger
see.
size.
A deity-filled life. The universe is a large, wonderful, and mystery-laden place. its origins from a singularity or the conjunction of two or more black holes or from the machinations of the hand, mind, or hand of God. What was before the singularity? The black hole or holes, or the mind or hand of God? It's a moot point. The human mind cannot comprehend any of it. Mathematical conjecture or deity-driven theosophizing are just noise to pacify the brain while failing to perceive the splendid entirety. Eternity, with the lack of a comprehensible beginning, a moral and ideological trajectory, and a satisfying end, are one of the limitations of maybe original sin. We're trying to think, act, and foresee as God is the ultimate act of hubris. Maybe the earth on the back of elephants, on the back of a turtle, which swims through the ether of limitless space, aren't such a bad or silly idea after all, but where in hell's the edge? I turned out to do a poem by Joy. I only knew her for the last year of her life, and she was so ill by then that she's a sweet, wonderful woman, but I didn't feel that I was worthy to accept any of her, to do her poems. There's the world.
This first poem that I'm going to read is called Rainy Delight. And it's about my granddaughter. I should have known that rainy afternoons hold the secret to delight. Anna and the other animals knew as they sat on the porch swing, lovingly protected by Annie's umbrellas. I should have known that the pink parasol would be Annie's portal, that pink parasols must be accompanied by singing, that singing in the rain requires dancing, that dancers are prone to take flight. I should have known that little girls are shifters, that abandoning her parasol, Annie and the rain would become one in a world she created. I should have known that raindrops are indescribably delicious, that delight is born of abandonment to being soaking wet, with no witnesses save Anna, who was sworn to secrecy. It's true, too. I sat and watched her do that. The second one is sacred moments. Moments of connection. If we dare surrender, music becomes a conduit with singing of such celestial beauty that the conductor's arms raise heavenward as choir and audience breathe together. Sacred moments, a seductive voice, a guitar, history revealed atop a hay wagon at dust. We are all Jews fleeing the Spanish Inquisition. Sacred moments, a wild dance born of women, led by a lone violin, and the transformative power of a spirit-filled Tallit shawl. Later emboldened to lick maple syrup off the floor. Sacred moments.